Yes, welcome, welcome, welcome. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with we. My name is EJ, and I got my man.
MH.
Yes, he is a DB of the show, and we are Black in Sports, giving a voice to the culture that won't shut up and dribble. Here today, man, we're bringing you back inside the locker room, and today, man, we're going to talk about a big celebration, a big birthday. And hip hop is turning 50, man. Their birthday was like August 11th. I think we probably should have pulled up the story, but MH, you ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
All right, man, let's get it. So, man, hip hop, like no other genre, has, and that's a $5 word right there, has really ingrained with sports. I mean, now you'd have rock and roll, you have other kind of music, genres that people kind of associate with games. There's like jock rock that came out back in the days. But as far as overall influence, man, there's nothing like hip hop, how it's intertwined. And, across all sports, of course, basketball and football up top. But yeah, man, let's just kind of take it through a journey and kind of celebrate hip hop, man.
Yeah,
So,
for,
yeah,
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead, mate. No, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no. I'm looking for the education. I was going to say
Okay, yeah.
on this topic. I'm ready to be schooled.
Yeah, so like I'm looking for it too. And like I said, we usually do show research in this, but I want to say like the birthday is like August 11th, right? That's the actual day, where like the song hip hop started out at the park, right? Um, and then from there, it's just kind of taking this journey, one that like a lot of music does, where they said they wasn't going to make it, and now it's going from hip hop to like hip hop is popular music. It's in everything we touch, and I think that's where I wanted to start off with, man. Just talk about like from a cultural perspective, right? I mean, as far as what it's done for the culture, we see it in everything, and it's changed how certain things go. I mean, even to when you talk about from a media perspective, like Stuart Scott, right? With the booyah, right? He started doing the different ad libs and all of those things. Like that was from a cultural perspective of what he was seeing in sports. So, we all remember when that first kind of started and some of his antics on that.
Yeah, I mean, we can say sports is expression, and obviously that flows with art forms as far as music and what hip hop is to sport. And we mentioned basketball and football as kind of the two main because you know the same people that are hooping are typically the same folks that are making music. And the reason why I say I'm looking for the education on this is not because I'm unfamiliar with hip hop and sports. Obviously, like that
Absolutely.
is what it is. But growing up with Sister Hayes, I was probably a little bit more familiar with John P. Key and BB and CC Winans and the Clark sisters.
Absolutely.
The times my brother had some hip hop in the car that got
Absolutely.
quickly ran over. So,
And that's the thing too, right? Because we maybe got influenced by some of these things by being on these teams, right? Because you remember going in the locker room like 2 days, you had music playing in the locker room that got you through that first practice to that second. So, that's where you kind of heard some stuff that that you couldn't play at home, right? So like I remember getting a little dose of like NWA and what I was in Florida, Luke wasn't getting played at the crib, so.
So what's give me like a song, an artist, an album. When you hear the word hip hop, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
So it's funny, New York just instantly comes to your mind when you think hip hop, right? And I know that's the
Okay.
birthplace of it, but it's definitely, and we're going to maybe get into this. We can jump back and forth, but like it's definitely New York, right? So growing up in Ohio, well, born in Florida, but grew up in Ohio, that was our influence, right? So that was the closest like epicenter of like where we were getting music, culture, dance, fashion, all that. So definitely anytime, anything New York, it influenced our fashion to wanting Tim's and when Wu Tang came out, Wallabies and like just kind of all of that like fashion. So I think New York is like what first comes to mind, and then just the whole East Coast kind of rap movement. What about yourself?
It's funny. I mean, I grew up many different places, but for the most part in Denver, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And so I have a brother that's 10 years older than me. And so honestly, like the first thing that comes up with hip hop outside of just pictures of my brother doing stuff, it's like Bone Thugs, like that's like he was more like a kind of
Let's
West Coast
go.
type thing. So Thuggish Ruggish Bone is like the first thing that pops up
Now hold
into
on.
my
So when
head.
you say West Coast, you identify them as West Coast because that's a great point, right? So you can
Mhm.
debate that. So from
You
Ohio, growing up in
could,
Ohio,
you
I mean
could. I feel like
they
their
were
style.
Ohio.
I
There
feel
was
like their
Ohio
style
cats.
was
East
they
99, man.
was definitely, but I feel like their style was more like West Coast. I didn't hear a lot of East Coast, New York, anything as far as just hip hop music early on at all. It was mostly just West Coast, and that could have just been from my brother's vibe with his Keek the Sneak and all that, all that E40 and all them in the Bay Areas. That was kind of
It's a
his
regional
vibe.
thing,
So
right?
yeah, so like that's kind of what I got
Well,
for
no,
the
what I
most
was
part.
going with that too, right? Because Easy E discovered Bone Thugs, right? So he's the one that put him on. So his kind of time with Easy Records and maybe having Dre and all some of those West Coast influences making their music and their beat. But like, that's funny that you bring that up, man.
Yep.
So just kind of talking about staying in the culture before, because like I do want to jump into kind of how it's going through teams and players, and we're going to get into all of that. But just staying cultural specific. You remember MTV Cribs?
I do.
That is a cultural like thing, right? Like Cribs itself, right? Nobody
Yeah.
called it Cribs, as your house or
Yeah.
whatever. So,
That's fair.
right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you have all these celebrities go and like everybody wanted like the blingiest house or like had to
Yeah.
have some far out like weird,
Yeah.
boisterous shit. And that's what hip hop was at first, right? Like boasting and kind of
Mm.
saying like, yo, this is what I got. Check this out. So
Mm.
is there any Cribs that you remember that stands out to you?
Just because everybody knows my affinity for Carmelo Anthony now at this point. I think Carmelo was on Cribs like 3 or 4 times, and it was like different phases of his career. But the one that stands out to me is is like his rookie year, like establishment, because it looked super regular to me. There was no order to his closet. He had just random jerseys hanging up with nice shoes on top of each other. It looked like my crib. So that's the one that sticks out to my mind. What about you? That's
so mine would be the one with Reggie Noble with Redman. Where they came and like he had his house and like the doorbell didn't work, and then like they came and he's like, no, the doorbell works, and he put the 2 wires together to make the doorbell ring, and he was just really doing the most, man. And it was like a kind of a joke on Cribs, but
Right.
that shit was hilarious, man. I don't know if the power was off or he was just hilarious, man. So hopefully they got that on YouTube. Y'all need to go back and say that. But no, so I do want to jump to one because it'll probably be a little quicker segment anyway. Is going into Carmelo's closet, how hip hop did fashion, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially when it came to jerseys, right? You had to have like the freshest jersey, the newest jersey. We went through that fucking phase where we had the reversible jerseys, which was a terrible, terrible idea. But jerseys is like one of the things that really sticks out when you're talking about that cross between hip hop and rap. But it's just like every video that you saw, they were repping. Or if you went to a concert, like I remember when Jay-Z came to Ohio, when I was in Ohio, he had an Ohio State jersey on, right? So they would always rep the town that they were in by wearing the jersey. So that was just something like of like cultural fashion significance of how it influenced it.
Yeah, for sure. And back to like my West Coast reference of hip hop and what I like, how it came to be to me. When I was young, in early '90s and everything, I honestly, as big as a football fan I was, I didn't really put the Raiders with like actual football. I always put them with, Boys in the Hood or something, or music. It was influenced. That's what I saw the Raiders. To be honest, with you, I was obviously a Cowboys fan at the time, so like I didn't even think of the Raiders. I just thought of the Cowboys, and Cube wearing a Raiders hat. That's kind of how I thought.
Or a Sox hat when he was wearing those. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. Hey, well, Jay-Z said it in the line, right? He can make a Yankee hat more famous than a Yankee can.
That is facts.
And that was like part of the culture, right? Like, I mean, even to MC Hammer, like, I didn't know when he was wearing, like, he was repping Oakland, but he would always wear Oakland A stuff, you know? So it's like, it's definitely where you would, like, it wouldn't be the team that you would know. You knew the fashion with the rapper, that's a great point, man. And then it got to a point where it became high fashion, right? Like, I'll never forget when Maya was in that those basketballs, when the basketball skirts came out.
Jersey dresses.
Jersey dresses.
Yeah.
We were talking about that, I think, offline one day for some reason. But anyway, yes, jersey dresses, man.
Yeah, she had that. She wore the Wizards Jordan jersey better than MJ. That's terrible.
100%. And then it became high fashion too. Like Michelinette's, right, got real big off of like you had to have that official. Now I never had one. That was out of the price range at the crib, but it was cool to look at though.
Very prominent, and I'm not gonna put his name on blast. He's gonna come on the show and then we'll talk about it. There's a very, very prominent individual in NFL. We'll put it in the front office. That if you ever get him to talk about his jerseys back in the day,
he'd go in.
Oh my God, it'll be 45 minutes. I know you're gonna listen to this. I'm not gonna. When you're on the show, we'll talk about it. I know you're in season now, but yes, he'll show you every jersey that he had from 2000 to 2 years ago, essentially. Headbands included with the jersey.
Let's go. And he didn't go with the Michelin hat. He went with the Nelly style, like Mike be calling me, man.
Over the top of the ear with the bottom joints, just showing the earlobe showing only.
Let's go. But no, that was part of the fun, right? That incorporated it. And of course, one that's been a mainstay, right? That we still see today is you got to give it to, what some call the GOAT, but his airness, right? Like still culturally classic, right? Like he drives the culture as far as the shoe game. Now I had hinted, like, depending on where you were and before, like, just the classic sneakers came, but, Wallabies, Chucks was kind of worn, certain, like the West Coast stuff that you were talking about. And then, Tim's, but Jordans. Oh, are you thinking about
Jordans? Do you remember?
Hold on, give me some.
Do you remember British Knights BKs?
Let's go.
Well, I'm so scared to wear those shoes.
Listen, the Burger Kings, like, you thought they were fake hot for like a quick minute.
I used to be so scared to wear them. My brother told me something about BK, so I could never wear them. But yeah, the Jordans, nice. the Jordans and hip hop and what that was, what it still is what's crazy about it is what it is to hip hop and sports, and the culture is crazy. And
then, we skipped over one that had like really cultural significance two, right? Like you take it back to Give Me Two Pair, right? Like they did a whole fucking song about Air Force Ones. Like that's how we affect the culture, right? Wearing once, maybe twice, but never 3 times. You know what I'm saying?
and they somehow never left. Never left. You still wear a pair of Air Force Ones.
And you throw some Christy Ones on, they complete a fit, right? Like
just currently. You can wear it to work now.
Today.
Yeah, you wear it to work.
And so you think of those that have the staying power, right? So those are one, but we did have one that, kind of didn't make it as long, but like my Adidas, right? Now when that song came out, everybody wanted their Adidas, right? You was stepping around everywhere, like, I wasn't out when that song came out, but it was still culturally relevant where everybody was, pushing fat laces, shell toes attempted to make a comeback and things like that. But it's just, again, how sports, like, apparel goes with the time, and it's just intertwined. So I definitely want to jump on that.
We cannot leave this segment without early 2000s mentioning Dada's or the Spreewells with the
spinner in there. Let's go. Or if you want to go, we could go to the Chuck and Berries when what's his name made them the $5 or $10 sneakers.
Starberries.
Starberries.
Yes, shout out Steph. I had me a pair of Starberries.
I did not.
Those Dadas would break. You know how many varsity basketball games stopped because of them spinners on the court?
Popping out
of the shoes.
Love it. That's perfect. That's perfect. So now jumping in from kind of like just, the cultural significance is just talking about like the actual people that really took it from being on the court or in the game to attempting, because it's so much crossover, right? You hear athletes want to be rappers want to be athletes. Like, you always hear that kind of, that saying, right? And so I think I want to start, because there's a couple ways we can do this. But let's just start with like, you know what? Because it's a shorter list. Let's start with rappers, because we talk about this on our show a lot. Rappers that actually became ball players.
Don't do it.
Don't do it?
I know. Don't bring up a certain individual.
I have to.
Who's taking up slots, man?
J. Cole, baby. So J. Cole used to be a regular on our show, and it was definitely the time when he was really pushing, like coming to the league. He wanted to come to. It started with just a tweet of the jerseys. The Pistons put his jersey out there. Then he was just kind of like at the Y playing ball. People say he had skills, and then he actually got a spot overseas, which caused a lot of controversy, right? Like people were like, "Yo, he's taking a spot from somebody else." But man, the man's just following his dreams, man.
Yeah,
Dreamville.
Terry Sanford High School. Get out of here. That's terrible.
So he didn't make it quite to the league, but he did play the national ball. And then, so we'll skip over, and we're not going to stay on J. Cole too long. But he was one that made it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we always got to give up P. Now, P actually made it to the league.
That's legitimate.
That's the one, right?
Preseason games, but that's legitimate.
And for two teams, right? Like he had enough of people were like, okay, let's see if he fits. Okay, that didn't work. He picked him up again. So, and he was out there, right? So those were the ones that I would say that are like on the top of the list of making the crossover. But there are other ones that attempted to, right? And maybe only made it towards, college, right? Because Cameron professes that he was a Cole Hooper.
That's what rumors have it.
Rumors have it.
I haven't seen any highlights, but I trust him.
You trust him?
I trust him. I do.
Now
that's that above the rim error. You know what I mean? So that's that. One of the greatest movies of all time. Speaking of hip hop and sports,
right?
Above the Rim.
Above the Rim is definitely a cultural classic. What else would you put in there? There's not really like rappers, because like that was Tupac in that, right? Which just kind of gives you that that music to sports. I'm trying to think. Was there any other? Like
rappers that are like that's their day job, and then they try to do some sports on the side.
Just some sports on the side or something like that. Well, Common is not a rapper, but he's a hip hop. Well, he's a hip hop artist, rapper, whatever. He did what's the shit?
The movie with Queen Latifah?
Yeah. Where he hurt his knee and the fall was so terrible.
That's funny.
What is that movie? So so there, got.
Well, I mean.
What else you got for me?
Nah, I ain't gonna say him. He's not worth mentioning.
Who's that?
Well, you gotta have like Mike. We talked about MJ and everything. We got Calvin Cambridge. Yeah, Calvin Cambridge was cold, man. He all-star and everything. Can't 2 Chainz hoop?
Well, that's his thing. That's claiming that he can hoop.
I mean, when he was Titty Boy, he could hoop.
Right. 2 Chainz can't hoop, but Titty Boy was a baller, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's your stint from rapper, like known as a rapper or musician, going into sports in that.
Put it in the comments. Y'all, let's put it in the comments. Who we missing? Right.
Who we missing? That's a great one. All right. So the other way around, there's a much, much, much longer list.
There's a good list.
It's a good long list. And there's some people on here that I was fucking surprised about. But so we're talking about they were known as athletes, and then we'll start with the top ones, and then there's some people that so who would you say your top person would be?
You didn't know Kobe had flows like that, huh?
Oh, don't do that.
Nah.
So
The gold medal the gold medal to me has to be prime time. That's my gold medal. It has to be prime. Must
over
be
Shaq.
Money. Yeah, I'm a prime.
I'm
the DB of the show. I gotta have a gold medal for prime. Yeah,
fair. All right, so and that's where I would put it, right? Like, so I'm definitely prime because it must be the money. So you can play that right now. People will go off, right? And then Shaq, right? Shaq did a lot of features, right? So Shaq did a song with Biggie, so that almost kind of solidifies you.
He's got to do his thing. He's got to be up there.
And I mean, and he had a beef record, right? So Shaq had a beef record with Kobe. So
yeah,
he did the full circle.
Kobe, tell me how.
What's wrong with Shaq, man? You're a big fool. Okay. And then also the last one that I guess I would put in the top would be Dame Dollar.
Oh, for sure.
Right? For sure. Like I mean, probably if you talk about the actual craft, probably better than all of them.
Yeah.
Right? Would you agree with that one?
As far as Westcott's pretty cold too. I know people are going to disagree. I don't think Le'Veon Bell is awful. So
I'm not putting him in that list. He was going to be like that next rung of people that we talked about. Because I'm still pissed off that he tried to hold out from the Steelers and now he's in the position he's in because he did that. That's
another sleeper who's definitely an ally to Black in sports. Cole Beasley, little slot receiver.
Listen, I was sleeping on Cole Beasley. If you haven't heard his song "Ghost," go check that out. Hey,
Cole Beasley.
Cole Beasley was a sleeper for this list. I'm like, Cole Beasley. I had to go. Hey, legit.
Legit. And you know who was another sleeper? You can't understand what he's saying because it's a different language. Tony Parker.
Right. So I got Tony on the list too. I'm not giving like I'm not doing
Hey, he's called to somebody. I just don't know what he's saying.
No, man. I mean, okay. I mean, no. He's in that other list. So let me rattle off some other people, right? Because you named some great ones that I didn't think people would know. But the funny thing with Kobe is the one he has that's the Thug Poet, people have been redoing. So there's a lot of the Thug Poet where they're taking that verse. I think it was him and 50, but it's like him and Nas, him and Buck. There's all kind of people that have been remixing that. So that's one you guys can go check out. But the one with him and Tyra is the one that he always gets clowned about, man. Because that shit was interesting. All right, let me get to the list. All right. And you stop me when you want to make a comment because there's some funny shit on here. Chris Webber. I didn't remember Chris Webber doing anything. Do you remember that? Was that? Yeah, so I think that had to be later.
This wasn't like Fab Five Chris Webber. This was like King's Chris Webber.
This was King's Chris Webber.
Philadelphia Chris Webber. There's several segments. Or TNT Talk Too Much Chris Webber. There's he's got different sections.
This is when he was trying to shoot a shot at Tyra Banks.
Webber, so that's Sacramento.
Like King, Hollywood, that's Sac King time, right? Yeah. All right, so Allen Iverson, he's of the culture, but I never heard him rapping. Did you hear anything about Bubba Chuck rapping?
Yeah, he tried. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's something we need to get Tinsley to ask. Tinsley, does he bump any of Bubba Chuck?
He may.
He may have a catalog. Couple of features on that bitch. Meta World Peace.
Yes,
I knew he was in the hip hop game, but I thought it was like he was managing. And
didn't he leave the team for a period of time
to work on his album?
Yeah.
But I thought it was one of those I don't know, DJ Drama or one of those collab albums where he's got money, he's got a studio, so he's like, yo, they can come rap at my shit because I want to come out of the game. I didn't know it was a rap album, so if anybody's pumping that shit, let us know if Meta World Peace got bars. We said Tony Parker. That was one of my. Cedric Ceballos. Now, I think he started rapping, and then someone told him, bro, this is not your lane. And then he really got into the DJing. So I know him as a DJ. So, because he's, been around All-Star weekends and shit like that. So you'll see him DJing, but the mic.
That ain't, pass that to somebody else.
Hey, pass the mic for real. Steve Francis.
That's interesting.
That's very interesting. And like, since he was a Houston Rocket, I wonder if he was chopped and screwed, when he was influenced by that, right? Because like, all you gotta do is talk slow and have the night, you know what I mean? Like 25 lighters on the dresser. Yes, sir. Shout out to Houston. Let's go. Kevin Durant, I didn't hear this. Did you hear?
Yeah, I heard. Because didn't he do something with? Don't he? He got something with LeBron. Actually, they got like a whole.
No.
Yeah, I promise they do.
All right. Well, thank you for listening today. Are you serious? All right, we gotta dig that one up, man. Yeah. You know what? Oh, I'm gonna hold that thought. Steven Jackson. He said,
no comment.
No. Delonte West. Damn. That's rest in peace or pause, whatever.
Not rest in peace. I think my man is still walking this earth. I hope so. I just go get some, pray for Delonte.
Prayers for Delonte. Iman Shumpert. Now I know he's Dancing with the Stars, but I didn't know he had bars. Look, you see that rhyme, by the way, if y'all didn't catch that. But
Knicks tape. Yep.
Knicks tape. He's on the Knicks tape?
Knicks tape. He has some. I mean, that's what they was just calling the Knicks.
Calling at the time.
2012, 2013, but that's kind of Iman Shumpert kind of put the spin on that.
Okay. All right. So that's the real list. Some other people they don't even mention. So
friend of the show, we got to mention. We can't leave this without mentioning the friend of the show. Your boy, Rackwall.
Well, that's what. So Rackwall is probably in that list of top people. So we should have put. So I would have Dion, Rackwall, Shaq, and Dame all in that top list because they take it serious, right? Like he's in there dropping like legit bars.
Yeah, he is
working on the craft. So definitely, thanks for making sure we didn't forget Rackwall and then shout out to D Wall. All right. So there's definitely more basketball players that shot their shot in that lane than there were football players. Unless, hold on, I mean, I guess 80 plus games, you got to find something to do on the road, right? When you ain't chasing skirts or whatever else you're doing. So, all right, jumping over to
reason for that.
Do you think that's the reason?
No, I'm asking you. What do you think the reason is?
They're bored, man. Like, I mean, what do you do when you're traveling? And I think that basketball is a hip hop sport too, right? Like, if you had to pick basketball, like even though the numbers are on our side for basketball, football, basketball is a hip hop sport. It's
100%. When is the last time you heard AC/DC at an NBA game? It's still to this day you're gonna hear an AC/DC song at any NFL game, no matter who playing it.
Absolutely,
you might hear one in the Falcons in Atlanta.
Correct. So there's those anthems that make it to a football game. Like I said, go back to was it Rock Jock or Jock Jams, whatever shit was called. Like some of those are just going to make it, right? But especially in Atlanta, going to a Hawks game, I can only imagine what's going down.
The Hawks game, we gotta. You know what? If somebody
we need to go on the road, what?
No, yeah, we definitely.
Okay.
It's a vibe. I haven't been to the stadium in a long time, but it was a vibe when I used to go. But there's one thing that we gotta have a guest on Black in Sports, and if somebody knows them out there that's our listeners, let's please pass the recommendation. My man that's playing the Oregon.
Oh, let's go. Get down.
Gotta have him on a guest because he's playing everything. He's playing everything in the club on the church organ. It's hilarious. Yeah, we got to get him in there.
That's what's up. All right. So jumping over, this is gonna be really quick, man, because it's not that many. But I was thinking about now taking it that music people that are super sports fans, and I can only think of like two, but I'm pretty sure like just now, and this is where y'all can jump in the comments. But super sports fans, first person I would say would be Lil Wayne.
Yeah. I think he's supposed to rumored to be coming on Undisputed on weekly now.
I mean,
like that with Skip Bayless.
He did the song, right? Like he's been on there before. Like they ask him questions. A big, like renowned, like Packers fan, which is the weirdest shit in the world. Like how he became a Packers fan.
For sure.
he has his own sports agency, right? So where Nicole Lynn, which is one of the top female sports agents, she got her start before she went, to, I think she's with Clutch now, but she started with Young Money Sports. So that's who I would say is like the top. And of course, like the 1B for me at least would be Drake. Just from a fanboy perspective, like he etched his way into like being a member of the damn Toronto Raptors, to where like he has fucking Kansas went and practiced at his mansion. Did you see that when they traveled over there and coach brought him up there and they took a tour of his mansion, ran practice, collegiate practice in his gym. So those I think would be, and then we all know about the Drake curse. So it's like those kind of things that are synonymous with like him and how he's involved being, a top hip hop artist to being entwined with sports. Is there anybody you can think of?
Just in the reference to Coach Prime, I would say MC Hammer was like a huge part of the Falcons and that thing. And then, I mean, MC Hammer might still go to Raiders practices. I mean, when they were in the Bay Area, he would still be there occasionally. So I think that's definitely one we should mention.
Yeah. And I mean, if we're going to go that, we can also say Ice Cube, right? Like,
he's
somehow the unofficial, he said like the Raider president of fan or some shit like that. He was on that shit. So, and he's done, I think he's done a show too, right? He's done a performed a time or two. Yeah. So I'd say Ice Cube was one.
Snoop,
what,
Snoop,
Laker? No, he's a big
Laker, but Snoop think he can actually like play.
For real,
Snoop will run routes.
So that's a great point. So Image, you brought up a really great, because Snoop had his league. Snoop actually puts on leagues where some of these cats that came out the NFL.
Oh, they did NFL.
Play in the Snoop League.
Yeah.
And it's so funny you think Snoop League was basketball. Nope.
Nah, Snoop out there playing semi-pro running routes with his feet east and west. Get out of here. Who's letting Snoop catch the ball now? Get out of here.
Man, who's letting Snoop get an inside post on it, man? You just need to quit right there. That's a good one. Anybody else when we jump over? Because I can't. That was a good one. We pulled out.
No, we're going to jump over, but I'm jumping back, man.
Okay, jump back.
I apologize for leaving this individual out because this is my guy. AB, man, put that. Come on. We have to mention AB.
We do not.
Performing that role. Put that.
We do not. We did a whole episode. Yeah. AB was definitely, he adds to our football players to be rappers.
Absolutely.
Definitely on the bottom.
AB. No. Put that man on the top of the list. Put him on the medal stand.
No. Shout out to AB, man. He's a Steeler. So I give him love. Way to jump back. That's a great one. That was a good one to jump back to, man. All right, so that's all I guess I could just really think of about, like, music fans that are really big into that's a good step. All right. Now, I have to, well, you know what? I'm going to jump to this one because this is going to be quick too. And I was supposed to look it up, but I forgot to look it up. Teams that did rap songs.
Okay.
So only one that I could think of top of mind was the Super Bowl Shuffle by the Chicago Bears. Like, that's like legendary, right? The 85 Bears did the rap. And then if I could come up with the other quick one, because I wanted to look it up to verify it, but it came out the woodworks on social media about 2 or 3 months ago where the Lakers were singing that rap song about don't do drugs.
No,
did you not see
that? No.
Yeah, we're going to have to post that one on social then.
Awful.
Other than that, I can't think of anybody else that did the songs.
So the Pistons had some when they were really bad boys and they were wearing Raiders stuff. They had something, some type of bad boy song or something like that. That's
what we need. So we need those. If your team had a song, shoot that to us. We want to look at those shits and laugh. All right. Of course, I got to get to the business side of it, right? So you have to talk about the business side of sports. And this angle I was mostly thinking about because we're talking about 50, the 50-year birthday, of hip hop. And it's just kind of taking us through our progression, right? So we used to wear jerseys until Jay-Z fucked that up for everybody. So he's like, I'm grown, I'm wearing a button up. So talking about how these guys have made their money and transitioning into other things, right? So growing up a little bit, and I'll start with Jay-Z, right? Like he has become a mogul in the sports world, right? So owning a part of the Brooklyn Nets, right, was one of the things that he championed. The work he's doing with the NFL, right? Like that's just big. Helping kind of do the halftime show. And, he has his sports agency. So it's a Rock Sport. I was going to say Rock Nation, but it's just Rock Sports, right? So he's definitely one of, I don't know if he's the first, but he's definitely a pioneer when you think about like how you take, rap and, go to the business side of sports.
I mean, it's going to be unpopular, but I'm going to say, I don't know how successful Donda Academy was, but he had the whole school and he had some teams and he had his sports agency. Apparently, AB was a
part of it.
The CEO of the sports division of it. I think so.
Is that what he was on the Abacus, like counting about?
He said
writing
CEO.
checks.
Yeah, that's his.
Hey, but what's so funny is we were posting when he first started, and he had like what's your dude Aaron Donald, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I want to say he had Jaylen Brown too, and I don't think Jaylen Brown's with Donda Sports or now the agency now, but he just signed the richest contract in NBA history. So yeah, he has some ones.
So he got some merits. I mean, like you said, it may be unpopular, but that is that part of hip hop that he was a part of. So
100%.
We talked about Lil Wayne already because him having a sports agency and things like that. But I'm gonna give you another one, Master P, which we talked about again, right?
Oh, he has an agency. Yeah,
Master P had an agency back in the days. You know who was one of his biggest signees to that agency?
DeMar DeRozan.
Ricky Williams.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy? So when all of that shit was going on, and Mike Ditka was wearing dreads, trying to say they gave up all his picks,
the whole draft,
the whole fucking draft, or Ricky, he was signed to Master P's sports agency back in. But now Master P is making cereal and shit like that. I don't know if he has but like, it's just good to see us grow up and how hip hop has grown up to where it's like, hey, I did hip hop. I was wearing jerseys. I spent all this money on kicks. Now I'm investing, man, buying property, buying into these teams, investing, diversifying your bonds, as Dave Chappelle used to say on Wu-Tang.
Yeah, Jay-Z is responsible for the business casual dress code in the clubs for that whole time period. I just want that to be said.
And there's some other highlights, right? So I mean, Usher, Nelly, I think they were a part of that group that was a part of the Cavs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's some other names, but yeah, that's just kind of part of the journey, man, of just kind of how hip hop's touched us. And it's just good to see like something that was bastardized, said it wasn't going to make it. It was a trend, it was a fad that now kind of like really leads, what people are doing in the sports and the business world. So I think that was dope, man. Anything else for the people, man, before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but if we do the math right, 50 years, we said August 11th or August 12th is like the first. So, I mean, if you just do the math, if we guys go back to 1973 in sports, I mean, who was the NBA champions? We talked about where hip hop originated from. So, I mean, it's telling me something. It's telling me something I'm really looking forward to.
So you're looking at the numbers, and you're gonna say they're back.
I mean, I'm just doing math, and it seems like 50 should be. I mean, if we really say it should have been this year, if I'm really doing the math correctly, because when they win the 2024 championship, be 51. But nonetheless, we're getting close to the next. And then the Juice was also the NFL MVP. We'll just leave it at that during that time frame.
There you go. So definitely great historical references. You heard it here first. So this is definitely going to make every year the Knicks are interesting to me because of you, man. So I appreciate you for that. But the juice is loose, so we'll see if there's some significant historical things come up.
We'll see. We'll see the juice.
I love it. Well, hey man, is that your final word, man? You going out on the Knicks hill?
Let's go.
All right,
50
man.
years, about that
50
long.
years. Well, hey, happy birthday, hip hop, man. It's been a great. So we're gonna look to see what those next 50 years are. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the show. Like we just did this for fun, just kind of giving tribute to hip hop and the culture. And so if there's things that we missed, as always, drop it in the comments. We'd definitely love to revisit this. Go listen to some of those songs. I bet you'll be surprised because we pulled out some good stuff on that one. But as always, please check out the show. Every Thursday we drop a new episode. Follow us or subscribe on YouTube because if you see it, you can be it. We're on everywhere you can listen to podcasts: Spotify, iHeart, iTunes. Hey, we're Spanish translation. We got you. So jump on there and check that. And as always, man, please be safe, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.